This is the moment your code either saves a spacecraft that took a decade to build or ends the only career you ever wanted. One command is about to travel 200 million miles. If your team got a single line wrong, nobody finds out until it is far too late. But to understand how a kid who once Googled how to quit a text editor ended up here, we have to go all the way back. Level 1, the intern. 15 years earlier, you are 21, and you are fairly sure NASA emailed the offer to the wrong person. You walk in past rocket models taller than your apartment and a wall of astronauts who did not get here by breaking things. Your badge prints, it says NASA. Your hands say please do not let them realize their mistake before lunch. A senior engineer named Marcus finds you frozen by the elevator and adopts you on the spot. Marcus has shipped code to Mars. Marcus also still keeps a printout of the worst bug he ever wrote, taped above his desk on purpose. Your first task sounds harmless. Update one configuration file. Marcus says it is a great way to learn the system safely. You change one line, you hit save. 9 minutes later, the nightly build turns red for the entire department. Your stomach drops through the floor and possibly into the parking garage. You have two choices, hide and hope, or walk over and say the words I broke it. You pick honesty, you raise your hand, and you learn the first real rule of this place. Marcus does not yell. Marcus shows you the revert button and something quieter. Every change here is read by another human before it can ever fly. The lesson lands. The mistake was never the sin. Hiding it would have been. You spend the next weeks learning the rhythm, small changes, careful reviews, tests before trust. Then at the coffee machine, the actual center of the universe, you meet another intern debugging a live radar feed and quietly winning. Meanwhile at the coffee machine, you try to say something impressive. What comes out is, and I am so sorry, a cool spreadsheet. She does not laugh at you. She laughs near you, which at this stage feels like a promotion. You run into her again over the printer, the microwave, the one working elevator. The universe keeps scheduling you together. Summer burns down to its last week. Your first real change gets approved and merged. You stare at it like a proud parent. You expect a handshake and a goodbye. Instead, an email arrives with a subject line that stops your heart. You said yes in 4 seconds. What you did not know is that the biggest mistakes of your career and the best day of your life were still ahead. Level 2, Junior Engineer. New badge, real desk, same fear, wearing a slightly better shirt. They put you on ground software, the systems that listen to a spacecraft and turn its heartbeat into numbers humans can actually read. And you learn NASA does not write code the way the internet writes code. Here, boring is a compliment. Every function is short. Every loop has a hard limit. Nothing is allowed to surprise a computer floating 300 miles above your head. You start to feel almost competent, which, historically, is exactly when things go wrong. During a test, you forget to handle one empty value. 1. Your log file grows by 2 million lines in 9 seconds. You could quietly delete the logs and pretend you saw nothing. You remember Marcus. You walk straight to the lead. I did this, you say, and here is exactly how I am fixing it. The lead nods slowly. That one sentence buys you the only currency that matters here: trust. Confidence starts to grow, the real kind, built on owning failures instead of avoiding them. Which is why one Tuesday you finally find your courage, at the coffee machine, obviously. You ask Maya to dinner. She says only if you promise to never once say the word spreadsheet. You agree instantly. First date, you talk about rockets for 2 hours, then panic that you talked about rockets for 2 hours. She talks about wanting to work on the systems that keep astronauts alive. You realize she is smarter than you, and you are completely fine with that. You argue about tabs versus spaces for 40 minutes. It is the best fight of your life. She texts you goodnight. You reread it 11 times. You are 23 and completely, hopelessly gone. Weeks turn into months, movie nights, stargazing where you both narrate the satellites instead of the stars. You meet her family. You survive, barely. Her father asks what you actually do, and you say I help spaceships not die, and somehow that works. Life is good, work is steady, and then they promote you into the one place where a mistake cannot be reverted. Level 3, Flight Software Engineer. Promotion, now you touch flight software, the code that actually leaves Earth and does not come back. The pressure is a different species now. On the ground, a bug is embarrassing. In flight, a bug is unreachable, silent, and permanent. You learn fault protection, the code whose entire job is to keep a spacecraft alive when something goes wrong and no human is close enough to help. Then you write a routine that quietly mixes up 2 units, meters and feet. It looks flawless. It would have poisoned an entire maneuver. A reviewer catches it with one calm comment. You go home and cannot sleep. Because you remember the story every NASA engineer knows. A real spacecraft, lost years ago, to exactly this mistake. A mix-up of units and a mission gone in an instant. You never make it again, and something shifts. Reviews stop feeling like criticism. They start feeling like armor. You run your code through a hardware-in-the-loop simulator. Real flight computer, fake universe, every disaster rehearsed on the ground first. You break things on purpose now, because the only safe place to fail is here, before it flies. Then work sends you across the country for a 6-month assignment. You and Maya try long distance. It is harder than any code you have ever written. The calls get shorter, the silences get longer. One night you both go quiet in a way that feels like an ending. You almost let it fade, then you remember. You solve impossible problems for a living. You are not going to let the most important one go unfixed. You fly home unannounced. You take her to watch a night launch from the old spot. As the rocket clears the tower, you get down on one knee. She says yes before you even finish. The whole sky is on fire, and somehow she is still the brightest thing in it. You call Marcus to tell him. He pretends he is not crying. He is absolutely crying. You think the hard part is over. You are about to learn that a launch and a birth can land on the exact same night. Level 4, Senior Engineer. You get married. It is small, it is joyful, and yes, a cousin asks you to fix their Wi-Fi during the reception. The honeymoon is 3 days because a mission review got moved. Maya just laughs. She married an engineer, she knew. Back at work you make senior. Now you own a whole module, and something strange happens. Interns start looking at you the way you once looked at Marcus. Terrified, hopeful, certain you are a genius. So you do exactly what Marcus did. You do not yell, you show them the revert button. A flagship mission approaches launch. The team enters code freeze. No new changes, only fixing, testing, and quietly losing sleep. The office runs on cold coffee and colder nerves. Everyone triple checks everything. This is the code that carries a decade of work off the planet. And at home, Maya is 9 months pregnant. You have been juggling doctor visits and design reviews, ultrasounds, and unit tests. You are running on fumes and love. Launch night, you are in mission control when your phone lights up. It is time. Both of your worlds start counting down at once. The countdown hits its final seconds. Engines light. The vehicle leaps off the pad on a pillar of fire. Then during ascent, a sensor throws a fault reading. Your fault protection code has half a second to decide, abort or ride it out. The whole room stops breathing. Somewhere out there, alone, your code has to make the call you trained it to make. It holds. It recognizes the glitch, rides it out instead of panicking, and lets the vehicle keep climbing. Main engine cutoff, good orbit, the room erupts, and you are already sprinting for the door. You make it with minutes to spare. You hold your first child, while a spacecraft you helped build circles the Earth right above you both. New parenthood is its own launch sequence. No sleep, constant alarms, a tiny, screaming payload you would die for. Around now, Marcus retires. On his last day, he hands you the taped-up printout of his worst bug and says your turn to keep the scars. You are a senior engineer, a husband, and a father. You think you have finally figured it out. You have not. Level 5, Engineering Lead. They make you a lead, and the job you were great at quietly disappears. You write less code and unblock more people, more meetings, more decisions, more standing between your team and the chaos. This is hard for you. You miss the code, so you keep grabbing tasks you should be handing off. Your team does not need the best junior engineer on the team. They need a leader, and you are getting in their way. Meanwhile, home grows again. Kid number 2 arrives. For a while you are losing at both, late at the office, tired at home, fully present at neither. Maya, who is brilliant and building her own career, carries more than her share. One night she gently tells you the truth. Your family needs you to trust your team so you can come home. Then a system your team owns fails a major test in front of a review board with your name on the design. Every instinct screams to blame the schedule, the tools, anyone else. Instead, you stand up. The design was mine, you say. The fix is mine. Give me a week. You deliver in 5 days, but the real repair is invisible. You finally hand the hardest pieces to your team, and they carry them beautifully. You start leaving at a reasonable hour. The code does not fall apart. It turns out your people were always this good. You were just in the way. One evening, your oldest shows you a science fair volcano and says, "I want to send things to space like you." You have to leave the room for a second. The intern who broke the build on day 1 just learned the thing that actually makes a leader. And it was about to be tested on the biggest stage of all. Level 6, Head of Engineering. 15 years after cool spreadsheet, an email arrives. They want you to be head of engineering. Now you are responsible for every single line of software that flies, every mission, every engineer, every scar. You keep Marcus's taped-up printout on your own wall now, a reminder that everyone here was once the intern who broke something. Which brings us back to where we started, the Red Room, the one command, the spacecraft 200 million miles away. A flagship probe 10 years in the making hits a fault deep in space. The whole mission now hangs on a software patch your team wrote and you approved. The old you would grab the keyboard, would need to be the one who saved it, would carry it alone. The you standing here does something harder. You look at the young engineer who wrote the patch, put a hand on their shoulder, and give one calm nod. Send it. The command leaves Earth. Now there is nothing to do but wait, while a signal crawls across the solar system at the speed of light. Minutes pass like years. Nobody speaks. Somewhere out in the dark, your team's code is either working or it is not. Then the screen turns green. The probe answers. It is alive. The room erupts. 10 years of work just survived because a team you built and trusted got it right. You look up to the viewing gallery. Maya is there. So are 2 kids, one in yellow, one in orange, way too proud of a dad who fixes space. Your oldest, the one with the volcano, presses a small hand to the glass. Someday, maybe, another badge with the family name. You started by breaking one config file on your first day. You are ending as the person who leads the people who keep humanity's machines alive in the dark. Every mistake was a lesson. Every review was armor. Every honest "I broke it" built the trust that carried you here. You think about Marcus and his worst bug taped to the wall, and you finally understand what he was really teaching you. Own it, fix it, and never carry it alone. So here is the truth nobody tells you. Every expert was once the intern who Googled how to quit a text editor. The only difference between them and you is that they started anyway. They broke the build, they owned it, and they grew. If this life felt like one you could have lived, follow along. There is always another life waiting to be built.